Lebanon sits on the Mediterranean coast, wedged between Syria and Israel, smaller than Connecticut but containing more contradictions than seems physically possible. This is not the Lebanon of news headlines. This is the Lebanon that exists beneath crisis, beyond conflict, inside the daily reality that persists regardless of what the world thinks is happening here. If you're curious about places that refuse to match their reputation, hit subscribe.
So if you want more journeys into the unforgiving, the beautiful, and the unknown, subscribe. Hit that button and join us as we explore the places that don't fit on postcards.
We're going deep. What makes Lebanon impossible is not its size. It's the sheer density of everything, not just people, though Beirut is among the most crowded capitals in the region, but history, religion, cuisine, architecture, landscape. You can ski in the morning and swim in the Mediterranean by afternoon. You can hear church bells and the call to prayer from the same street corner. You can eat breakfast that traces its lineage to Phoenicians and dinner influenced by French colonialism. This is not diversity in the abstract sense. This is layers compressed so tightly they've fused into something that shouldn't function, but does. The country divides into 4 geographical zones, none of which transition gently into the next. The coastal plain hugs the Mediterranean, narrow, urban, where most Lebanese live and work. Immediately inland, the Mount Lebanon range rises abruptly, peaks reaching over 3,000 meters. East of this range, the Bekaa Valley drops into a high plateau, agricultural and hot. Further east, the Anti-Lebanon Mountains form the border with Syria, barren and remote. 4 zones, radical climate variation, one tiny country. Start at the coast, where Lebanon faces outward. Beirut is not beautiful in conventional ways. It is scarred, literally. Buildings still bear bullet holes from civil war that ended in 1990. Reconstruction happened in patches, gleaming new developments rising beside bombed-out ruins that no one has bothered or been able to repair. The result is visual chaos that somehow coheres into identity. The city does not hide its trauma. It displays it, lives alongside it, builds around it. A renovated Ottoman-era building shares a block with a collapsed structure from the war. High-end boutiques operate across from buildings with missing facades. This is not neglect. It is reality that moves forward without erasing what came before. Downtown Beirut, Solidere, was rebuilt entirely after the war. The project was controversial. Displace communities, demolish historical buildings deemed unsalvageable, construct a finance and shopping district meant to signal renewal. The area is clean, planned, expensive. It feels disconnected from surrounding neighborhoods precisely because it was designed to be different. Walk 10 minutes in any direction from Solidere and you're in a different Beirut. Mar Mikhael, an Armenian neighborhood, fills with renovated buildings housing cafes, galleries, bars. Narrow streets crowd with pedestrians at night. Music spills from doorways. Conversations mix Arabic, French, English, Armenian without anyone pausing to accommodate. Beirut operates in multiple languages simultaneously. Code switching happens mid-sentence. Arabic dominates, but French interjects constantly, legacy of Mandate period when France controlled Lebanon after Ottoman collapse. English appears in business, education, among younger generations. No one speaks just one language here. Multilingualism is default setting. This linguistic blending reflects deeper mixing. Lebanon contains 18 officially recognized religious sects. Christians of multiple denominations, Maronite, Greek Orthodox, Greek Catholic, Armenian Orthodox, Armenian Catholic, others. Muslims, Sunni, Shia, Druze, Alawite. Each community maintains distinct identity, neighborhoods, political representation. The political system, confessionalism, allocates power based on religious affiliation. President must be Maronite Christian. Prime Minister must be Sunni Muslim. Speaker of Parliament must be Shia Muslim. This system was designed to balance power, prevent any single group from dominating. In practice, it entrenches division, makes reform nearly impossible, ties politics to religion in ways that resist change. But at street level, mixing happens constantly. Neighborhoods are not entirely segregated. Friendships cross sectarian lines. Businesses serve everyone. Daily life requires interaction. The political divisions are real, but they do not govern every moment. Food is common language. Lebanese cuisine is not one thing. It is accumulation, Phoenician, Arab, Ottoman, French influences layered over millennia. Mezzi culture dominates, small plates shared communally. Hummus, baba ganoush, tabouleh, fattoush, kibbeh, labneh, muhammara. Meals are social events lasting hours. Eating alone is unusual. Eating quickly is unthinkable. Bread is constant. Flat bread, kubs, accompanies everything. It is utensil as much as food. You tear it, use it to scoop, wrap ingredients inside it. A meal without bread is incomplete. Restaurants in Beirut range from street stalls to high-end establishments, but the food's core remains consistent. Quality is paramount. Ingredients are fresh. Produce from Bekaa Valley, seafood from Mediterranean, dairy from mountain villages. Preparation follows traditional methods even in modern settings. Coffee culture is distinct. Lebanese coffee, similar to Turkish coffee, is thick, strong, served in small cups. The grounds settle at the bottom. You drink slowly, leave the sludge undrunk. Some claim to read fortunes in the remaining patterns. Whether believed or performed as tradition, the ritual persists. Cafes are social infrastructure. Men gather to smoke arguile, water pipes, play backgammon, argue politics. Conversations are loud, animated, physical. Disagreement is expressed passionately, but does not necessarily indicate hostility. Debate is entertainment. The Mediterranean here is warm, clear, surprisingly clean given urban density. Beaches are mostly privatized. Resorts charge entry, provide loungers, serve food and drinks. Public beach access is limited. This privatization creates division, those who can afford beach clubs and those who cannot. Still, the sea is central to identity. Lebanon is Phoenician descendant, ancient maritime civilization that traded across Mediterranean, established colonies, invented alphabet that became basis for most modern scripts. The connection to sea is historical, not just geographical. Fishing still occurs, though industry is diminished. Small boats operate from harbors, bringing in daily catches sold at markets. Fish is grilled simply, dressed with lemon and garlic. Freshness is assumed, not advertised. Move inland and the land rises immediately. Mount Lebanon is not gradual. The mountains thrust upward abruptly. Roads switch back steeply, gaining altitude in minutes. Temperature drops noticeably. Vegetation changes from Mediterranean scrub to pine and cedar forests. The cedars are iconic. Lebanon's flag features a cedar. The trees are ancient. Some specimens are thousands of years old. Historically, cedar forests covered mountainsides. Phoenicians harvested them for shipbuilding. Egyptians used cedar for temples. Romans logged extensively. By 20th century, only scattered groves remained. Conservation efforts have been ongoing but underfunded. The remaining cedar forests are protected, theoretically. Enforcement is inconsistent. Climate change threatens the species. Temperature shifts alter viable growing zones. Seedlings planted at lower elevations often fail. The cedar is national symbol, but its future is uncertain. The mountains are home to distinct communities. Maronite Christians have historically dominated Mount Lebanon. Villages cling to slopes, stone houses built into steep terrain. Churches anchor settlements, structures centuries old, often renovated repeatedly but retaining original footprints. These villages are quieter than coast. Life is slower. Agriculture remains primary economy. Apple orchards, vineyards, olive groves. Terracing is extensive. Stone walls built to create flat planting surfaces on slopes. This construction is labor-intensive, maintained generationally. Pshare is one such mountain town perched high in the Kadisha Valley. The valley is sacred landscape. Early Christian monks inhabited caves here, establishing monasteries in isolation. The valley is now UNESCO World Heritage Site, recognized for religious and natural significance. The town itself is small, conservative, dramatically situated. Views extend across valleys to neighboring peaks. In winter, snow blankets the area. In summer, it is green refuge from coastal heat. Pshare is also birthplace of Khalil Gibran, Lebanon's most famous literary export. His museum occupies a former monastery, displaying manuscripts, paintings, personal belongings. Gibran left Lebanon young, spent most of his life in United States, wrote in English and Arabic. The Prophet remains his most recognized work. Philosophical prose poetry that has sold millions of copies globally. Gibran's relationship with Lebanon was complicated. He left, achieved fame elsewhere, yet remained tied to homeland in writing and identity. This pattern repeats across Lebanese diaspora: physical departure, emotional persistence. The mountains also house ski resorts. Yes, Lebanon has skiing. Multiple resorts operate in winter months. Mamzar Kfardabian is largest, with dozens of runs, modern lifts, infrastructure comparable to European resorts. The season runs roughly December through April, snow conditions permitting. Skiing in Lebanon feels surreal if you arrive with preconceptions. The Mediterranean is visible from upper slopes. You can ski in the morning, drive an hour, swim in the afternoon. This juxtaposition is geographically possible because elevation overcomes latitude. At 2,000 plus meters, snow accumulates despite proximity to warm sea. The resorts attract Lebanese from Beirut and diaspora visitors. Prices are not cheap. Skiing here is leisure activity for those with disposable income. The resorts are social scenes as much as athletic venues, places to see and be seen. But climate change is impacting snow reliability. Seasons are shorter. Snowfall is less predictable. Resorts invest in snowmaking equipment, but natural conditions are worsening. The industry's long-term viability is questionable. Descend eastward from Mount Lebanon and you drop into the Bekaa Valley. The transition is stark. Western slopes are green, forested, moist from Mediterranean weather systems. Eastern slopes are arid, brown, rain-shadowed. The valley itself is high plateau, roughly 1,000 meters elevation, flat, open, hot in summer. Bekaa is agricultural heartland. Wheat, grapes, vegetables grow extensively. Water comes from snowmelt and underground sources. The valley is fertile when irrigated but limited by water availability. Wine production has ancient roots here. Phoenicians made wine. Romans expanded viticulture. Ottoman period saw decline. Islamic rule discouraged alcohol production. French mandate revived industry in 20th century. Modern Lebanese wine is serious enterprise. Several wineries produce quality wines that compete internationally. Chateau Muzar is most famous, known for continuing production even during Civil War years. Vineyards in Bekaa benefit from altitude. Cooler nights, intense sun, mineral-rich soil. Wine culture is part of Lebanese identity, especially among Christian communities. Wine accompanies meals, celebrations, social gatherings. The industry is small compared to European producers but significant domestically. Bekaa also contains Baalbek, one of the most impressive Roman archaeological sites anywhere. Baalbek's temples are monumental. The Temple of Jupiter originally featured some of the largest columns ever constructed in Roman world. Only 6 remain standing, but their scale is overwhelming. The Temple of Bacchus is better preserved, its interior nearly intact, walls covered with intricate carvings. The site predates Romans. Phoenician temple existed here first. Romans built atop it, creating complex that served as major religious center. Subsequent centuries saw it used as fortress, quarried for building materials, partially destroyed by earthquakes. What remains is staggering. The stone blocks used in construction are among the largest ever moved by humans. Some weigh over 800 tons. How they were transported and positioned remains subject of debate. No written records explain the engineering. The blocks simply exist, fitted together with precision. Baalbek sits in northern Bekaa, closer to Syrian border. The area is Shia majority. Hezbollah has significant presence. Political tensions are palpable. Security is visible. Tourism fluctuates based on regional stability. Yet the site operates. Visitors come. Locals work as guides, vendors, caretakers. Life proceeds amid ruins that have witnessed millennia of human activity. The anti-Lebanon range forms Bekaa's eastern boundary. These mountains are different character than Mount Lebanon. Drier, more barren, less populated. The border with Syria runs along the ridgeline. Officially, the border is closed at most points. Unofficially, smuggling routes operate. This area is remote, poor, neglected by central government. Infrastructure is minimal. Villages are small, often lacking basic services. The population is mixed: Sunni, Shia, Christian communities in isolated pockets. During Syrian civil war, the border region became conflict zone. Refugees poured into Lebanon. Over 1 million Syrians fled into a country of roughly 4 million Lebanese. The demographic impact was enormous. Infrastructure strained, resources stretched, social tensions increased. Refugee camps appeared in Bekaa Valley, makeshift settlements that became semi-permanent. Conditions are difficult, overcrowded, under-resourced, legally precarious. Refugees cannot work legally, cannot move freely, live in limbo waiting for resolution that does not arrive. Lebanon has no legal framework for refugees. It never signed UN Refugee Convention. Syrian refugees are not officially recognized as refugees. They are displaced persons. This semantic distinction has legal consequences: fewer protections, less international support, more vulnerability. The situation creates resentment. Lebanese citizens, especially in poor areas, see resources directed to refugees while their own needs go unmet. Competition for jobs intensifies. Services degrade under increased demand. But blame is misplaced. The problem is not refugees, it is lack of infrastructure, lack of government capacity, lack of international support adequate to the crisis scale. At individual level, interactions are often more humane than political rhetoric suggests. Lebanese families host refugees, communities share resources, children attend schools together. Humanity operates alongside hardship. Now consider Lebanon's political reality. The country is not failed state, but it is fragile state. Government functionality is limited. Electricity is unreliable. State provides few hours daily. Residents rely on private generators, paying neighborhood operators for power. Water infrastructure is inadequate. Trash collection has repeatedly collapsed, leading to garbage crises where refuse piles in streets for months. These are not natural failures. They are results of corruption, mismanagement, sectarian politics that prioritize patronage over policy. Ministers are selected based on religious affiliation and political deals, not competence. Bureaucracy is bloated but inefficient. Public funds disappear into private pockets. The August 2020 Beirut port explosion was a catastrophic illustration of this dysfunction. A massive quantity of ammonium nitrate, 2,750 tons, was stored improperly at the port for years. Warnings were ignored, responsibility was diffused, no one acted. On August 4th, the material detonated. The explosion was one of the largest non-nuclear blasts in history. Over 200 people died. Thousands were injured. Hundreds of thousands were displaced. Entire neighborhoods were destroyed. The blast was not accident in the sense of unpredictable event. It was inevitable outcome of negligence, corruption, and incompetence. Everyone involved knew the material was dangerous. No one took responsibility for removing it. The explosion shattered Beirut's illusion of resilience. The city had survived civil war, assassinations, invasions, yet continued functioning. The port blast felt different, not external attack, but internal collapse. The aftermath has been marked by lack of accountability. Investigation stalled. Political figures obstructed proceedings. No one has been held responsible. Victims' families protest regularly, demanding justice that does not come. Economic collapse followed. Lebanon's financial system imploded in 2019. Banks froze accounts, currency collapsed, savings evaporated. The Lebanese lira, officially pegged to dollar, plummeted on black market. Inflation soared, purchasing power disappeared. The crisis was long building. Lebanon's economy relied on remittances from diaspora and deposits from Gulf Arabs. Banks used deposits to fund government debt. The model was unsustainable. Ponzi scheme requiring continuous inflow to pay existing obligations. When inflows slowed, the system collapsed. Capital controls were imposed informally. Banks limited withdrawals, blocked transfers abroad, prevented access to savings. People's money was trapped. Dollar accounts were converted to lira at unfavorable rates. Wealth was confiscated through bureaucratic maneuvering. The impact was devastating. Middle class eroded, poverty spiked, professionals emigrated. Doctors, engineers, teachers left seeking stability elsewhere. Brain drain accelerated. Yet daily life continues. Markets still operate. Restaurants still serve. People still gather, socialize, celebrate. Lebanese adapt because adaptation is survival skill practiced across generations. The informal economy expands. Dollar transactions occur outside banking system. Exchange rates are negotiated individually. Trust networks replace institutional structures. It is inefficient but functional. This resilience is not romantic. It is exhausting. People are tired of crisis, of instability, of governments that fail repeatedly. The phrase Lebanese resilience is repeated often, but it rings hollow for those living it. Resilience implies bouncing back. Many Lebanese feel they are simply enduring, without resolution in sight. Consider what this means for young people. Education in Lebanon is multi-tracked. Public schools exist but are underfunded. Private schools dominate, ranging from affordable to elite institutions. University education is accessible but quality varies. The best students attend American University of Beirut, AUB, or Lebanese American University, LAU, where instruction is in English and degrees are internationally recognized. But job prospects are bleak. Economy generates few opportunities. Salaries are low. Career advancement is limited. The talented leave. Emigration is rite of passage. Lebanese diaspora outnumbers resident population. Estimates suggest 8 to 15 million Lebanese live abroad versus 4 million in Lebanon. Communities exist across Americas, Europe, Africa, Gulf, Australia. This diaspora maintains connection, sending money, visiting regularly, maintaining property. But physical absence creates vacuum. Villages empty. Only elderly and young children remain. Working-age adults are elsewhere. The loss is not just economic, it is cultural. Traditions interrupt when carriers emigrate. Languages shift. Diaspora youth speak English or French more fluently than Arabic. Connection to homeland becomes abstract, sentimental, disconnected from lived reality. Yet Lebanon persists in imagination. Even those who left decades ago, who built lives elsewhere, still claim Lebanese identity. The country occupies mental space disproportionate to its physical size. Return now to the landscape, to the parts visitors rarely see. The south of Lebanon is distinct. Historically, it is Shia-majority region, poorer than Mount Lebanon or Beirut. The area has been conflict zone repeatedly. Palestinian militant groups operated here in 1970s and 80s. Israel invaded in 1982, occupied southern strip until 2000. Hezbollah formed in response to occupation, conducting guerrilla warfare that eventually led to Israeli withdrawal. The south still bears war's marks. Villages were destroyed and rebuilt. Infrastructure was targeted repeatedly. Residents live with memory of occupation, violence, displacement. Hezbollah dominates politically and militarily. The organization is complex, simultaneously political party, social service provider, and armed militia. It runs hospitals, schools, construction projects while maintaining military capability separate from Lebanese army. For outsiders, Hezbollah is terrorist organization. For many Lebanese Shia, it is resistance movement that defended their communities when government couldn't or wouldn't. This division in perception reflects broader Lebanese fragmentation. The southern landscape is agricultural: tobacco, olives, citrus. Villages are clustered, connected by narrow roads. The border with Israel is marked by blue line, UN demarcated boundary monitored by peacekeepers. Tension persists. Incidents occur periodically. The area is not active war zone but not fully at peace. Tyre, on southern coast, is ancient city with remarkable ruins. Roman hippodrome, Byzantine mosaics, Crusader castle, all compressed into small area. The site is UNESCO World Heritage, but tourism is limited by regional instability. The city itself is working port, fishing community, conservative in character. It feels removed from Beirut's cosmopolitan chaos. Pace is slower. Traditions hold stronger. Women are more likely to wear hijab. Cafes serve tea, not cocktails. This is also Lebanon, but different Lebanon. Move north from Beirut and you reach Byblos. Byblos claims to be one of the oldest continuously inhabited cities in the world. Archaeological evidence supports occupation dating back 7,000 years. Phoenician, Roman, Crusader, Ottoman layers stack atop one another. The old port remains operational. Small fishing boats moor where Phoenician traders once loaded cedar for export. The town is picturesque in ways Beirut is not. Stone buildings, narrow streets, harbor lined with seafood restaurants. It attracts tourists, Lebanese and foreign, seeking atmosphere that feels historical without feeling ruined. Byblos represents Lebanon that markets itself to visitors. Clean, safe, charming, manageable. It is real but also curated. The ruins are authentic, but the experience is packaged. Further north, Tripoli is Lebanon's second largest city, predominantly Sunni, historically commercial center. The old souks are among the best preserved in the region. Vaulted stone corridors housing workshops and vendors. Craftsmen work in traditional trades, coppersmiths, tailors, soap makers. The soap is famous. Olive oil soap made using methods unchanged for centuries. Tripoli feels distinct from Beirut, more conservative socially, more connected to Syria culturally. During Syrian civil war, Tripoli experienced sectarian violence. Sunni neighborhoods clashed with Alawite neighborhood. The army intervened, imposed control, but tensions remain. The city is poorer than Beirut, less developed, often neglected by central government. Residents feel marginalized, resources directed elsewhere. Political frustration runs high, yet the city functions. Markets thrive, sweet shops. Tripoli is known for desserts, produce baklava, halawa, nefe. The nefe here is considered best in Lebanon. Sweet cheese topped with semolina crust, soaked in syrup, served hot. Food is never just food in Lebanon. It is identity, pride, competition. Each region claims superiority in specific dishes. Arguments about best hummus, best kibbeh, best tabbouleh are endless, passionate, unresolvable. The Qadisha Valley, near Bachar, is Lebanon at its most dramatic. The valley is deep gorge carved by river, flanked by steep cliffs. Monasteries cling to rock faces built into caves, accessible by precarious paths. Early Christians sought isolation here, hermits, monks establishing communities far from worldly concerns. Some monasteries are still inhabited. Monks maintain simple lives, prayer, work, self-sufficiency. Visitors are often welcomed, offered tea, engaged in conversation that assumes time is abundant. The valley is UNESCO site, protected theoretically but threatened practically. Quarrying operations encroach. Development pressures increase. Funding for preservation is limited. The monasteries endure but are vulnerable. Hiking the valley requires stamina. Trails are steep, poorly maintained. Heat in summer is intense. Water is scarce, but the landscape is stunning. Limestone cliffs, cedar groves, river cutting through rock, silence broken only by wind and birdsong. This is Lebanon removed from politics, crisis, headlines. This is landscape that existed before nations, before borders, before the modern mess. It persists indifferent to human complications. Consider now the contradictions visitors must hold. Lebanon is simultaneously welcoming and closed. Strangers are greeted warmly, offered food, invited into homes. Hospitality is cultural value, practiced genuinely, yet deeper understanding is withheld. Sectarian identities are not explained, They are assumed known or deliberately obscured. Political discussions are careful, coded, aware of who is listening. Foreigners are granted superficial access easily. Lebanese are accustomed to outsiders, journalists, aid workers, soldiers, tourists. They know how to interact without revealing. Smiles are genuine, but boundaries are firm. This is survival mechanism. Lebanon has been occupied, invaded, manipulated by external powers repeatedly. Trusting outsiders completely is naive. Sharing too much is dangerous. So interactions are warm but guarded. The country is also simultaneously modern and traditional. Beirut has nightclubs, rooftop bars, fashion boutiques, art galleries. Women wear what they choose, hijab or miniskirt, both visible on same street. Alcohol flows freely in many areas. LGBTQ+ community exists, though legally and socially constrained. But villages are conservative. Gender roles are traditional. Family authority is strong. Behavior that is acceptable in Beirut is scandalous elsewhere. Lebanon contains multitudes, but those multitudes do not always coexist easily. The country is progressive and repressive, liberal and conservative, open and closed, all simultaneously, depending on where you are, who you're with, what you're doing. This fragmentation makes generalization impossible. Any statement about Lebanon requires caveats, qualifications, exceptions, yet somehow it functions. Not smoothly, not justly, not sustainably by any rational measure, but it continues. Lebanese have phrase, Allah Karim, God is generous. It expresses fatalism, faith, acceptance that outcomes are beyond individual control. Plans are made, but prefaced with, Inshallah, God willing. The future is uncertain, always. This is not passivity. It is realism born from experience. Lebanon has collapsed before. Civil war lasted 15 years. It recovered. Financial system imploded. Life continued. Government failed repeatedly. People adapted. The assumption is that collapse is not endpoint. It is phase. Things will be bad, then less bad, then possibly better, then bad again. Permanence is illusion. Change is constant. Survival is act of persistence. This mentality frustrates reformers. Accepting dysfunction enables its continuation. but it also enables endurance when reform fails, as it often does. Lebanese exist in state of permanent improvisation. The script is written daily based on what is possible that day. Electricity schedule determines when to work. Dollar exchange rate determines what to buy. Political situation determines where to go. Nothing is guaranteed beyond the immediate present. This creates anxiety but also freedom. If nothing is certain, then anything is possible. If the system is broken, then operating outside it becomes reasonable. Rules are suggestions. Boundaries are negotiable. Creative solutions are not just encouraged, they are necessary. You see this in how businesses operate. Official procedures are Byzantine, so unofficial procedures develop. Permits are theoretically required for everything, so people proceed without them. Regulations exist on paper, ignored in practice. This is not ideal. It is pragmatic response to institutional failure. When institutions do not function, people create alternatives. The same logic applies to social services. Government cannot provide electricity reliably, so private generator networks emerge. Trash collection fails, so neighborhoods organize their own solutions. Water infrastructure is inadequate, so buildings install private tanks and pumps. The result is patchwork system. Inefficient, inequitable, but functional enough to prevent total collapse. Lebanon is country of workarounds. Every problem has solution that is not official solution. Every obstacle has route around it. Nothing is straightforward, but everything is eventually achievable. This requires connections. Who you know determines what you can accomplish. Wasta, influence, connections, is currency. Family networks, sectarian affiliations, personal relationships open doors. Transactions are personal, not bureaucratic. This system excludes those without connections. It rewards proximity to power. It perpetuates inequality. But it also distributes access informally when formal channels are blocked. Lebanese have become experts at navigating dysfunction. They know which rules matter and which are performative. They know when to insist and when to wait. They know who to ask and how to ask. This knowledge is cultural capital, passed down, learned through experience, essential for functioning. Visitors experience Lebanon differently. Hotels work, restaurants serve, sites are accessible. The dysfunction is visible but not disabling for short-term presence. But living here requires different skills. You learn patience. You learn flexibility. You learn that plans are provisional. You learn to carry cash because cards often do not work. You learn to check electricity schedule before committing to activities. You learn to have backup plans for backup plans. You also learn to appreciate moments of beauty amid chaos. A sunset over Mediterranean, the water turning gold and pink. The call to prayer echoing across valleys at dusk. A meal shared with strangers who insist you eat more, stay longer, return soon. The smell of jasmine in summer evenings. The taste of fresh figs picked from roadside trees. Lebanon offers these moments generously. They do not erase the difficulties, but they provide counterbalance. The country is not easy. It does not pretend to be. It is complicated, contradictory, often exhausting. But it is alive in ways that sanitized, efficient places are not. There is rawness here. Emotions are not muted. Opinions are not softened. Disputes are loud. Affection is demonstrative. Life is not performed quietly. This intensity can be overwhelming, but it can also be exhilarating. You feel present, engaged, alert. Indifference is impossible. Lebanon provokes response, positive or negative, but never neutral. Stand anywhere in Lebanon and you are standing on layers. Phoenician stones beneath Roman columns, beneath Crusader walls, beneath Ottoman additions, beneath modern concrete. Every era leaves marks. Nothing is fully erased. History is not past here. It is present, visible, active. Ruins are not cordoned tourist sites. They are integrated into daily life. Ancient columns support modern buildings. Roman roads are still routes. Byzantine mosaics are backyard discoveries. This compression creates relationship with time different from cultures that demolish and rebuild. The past is not separate. It is foundation, literally and metaphorically. Lebanese identity is built on this continuity. The claim to ancient heritage is not abstract. It is physical, tangible, present in stones you touch, paths you walk. But this connection is also burden. The weight of history is heavy. Expectations are high. Comparisons are constant. Phoenician traders, Roman glory, Arab Renaissance. Present struggles seem diminished against past achievements. Yet Lebanon today is not lesser version of Lebanon past. It is different entity, navigating different circumstances, creating its own story. That story is unfinished. The chapters currently being written are difficult. Crisis is real. Suffering is genuine. Futures are uncertain. But the story is not over. Lebanon has survived before. Occupations, wars, famines, plagues, empires rising and falling. The land remains. The people remain. The culture adapts, absorbs, persists. This is not guarantee. Countries do fail, societies do collapse. Nothing is inevitable. But Lebanon's record suggests resilience that exceeds reasonable expectation. The country has been written off many times. Each time it surprised those making the prediction. That does not mean optimism is easy here. It means reality is complicated. Lebanon is not a tragedy or a miracle. It is a place where both exist at once. A country that is constantly breaking and constantly rebuilding. A society that carries its scars openly and still insists on living fully. It is not the Lebanon of headlines. It is not the Lebanon of easy narratives. It is harder, messier, more human, and that is what makes it impossible to reduce and impossible to forget. If you made it this far, you already know this isn't surface-level travel content. This is about places that don't fit the story the world tells about them. If you want more deep dives into countries, cultures, and contradictions that headlines miss, subscribe. New stories, new perspectives, no shortcuts. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.